Mr. President, Senator Richard Bill offers Senate Resolution Number 194, a resolution of tribute for the Honorable John Pappageorge. The rules have been suspended to allow for the immediate consideration of the resolution.
If I could ask all the members to stand as the resolution is read.
A resolution of tribute for the Honorable John Pappageorge. Whereas, with recognition for his service to this legislative body, we truly honor and express gratitude to Senator Pappageorge. He has diligently worked for the betterment of the constituents of the 13th District in Oakland County. Moreover, in his time with the legislature, he has served residents across the state of Michigan. And whereas John Pappageorge has a degree in engineering from the U.S. Military Academy at West Point and a master's degree in government and politics from the University of Maryland at College Park. He also graduated from the U.S. Army War College. His experience includes 30 years on active duty in the U.S. Infantry Branch, which saw him serve two tours of combat in Vietnam, with airborne, ranger, and pathfinder qualifications and numerous decorations, including the Distinguished Service Medal and Bronze Star. He is a highly accomplished U.S. military veteran. He also has experience working as a business director in the private sector. Before joining the Senate, he continued his public service as a member of the Oakland County Board of Commissioners and then in the House of Representatives for 3 terms of office. And whereas during his 8 years of service, Senator Pappageorge has been a great asset as a member of this legislative body. His committee work has included chairing the Transportation Committee and Joint Committee on Administrative Rules. In addition, he has served as Vice Chair of the Infrastructure Modernization Committee, Veterans, Military Affairs, and Homeland Security Committee, and State Police and Military Affairs Committee. He has also been active in the area of fiscal policy, including his work on the Appropriations Subcommittee on General Government. Among his legislative accomplishments, he ushered passage of bills addressing sales suppression devices used to evade millions of dollars in taxes. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that we thank and acknowledge the Honorable John Pappageorge for his service and dedication to the legislature, and be it further resolved that copies of this resolution be transmitted to Senator Pappageorge as evidence of our gratitude and best wishes for his future endeavors.
If you could now have a seat, Senator Pappageorge will address the body, and then we will vote on the resolution.
Well, thank you, Mr. Lieutenant Governor. I got to tell you, I don't know what I'm supposed to say after that, but I'll give it a shot. Mr. Lieutenant Governor, Senate colleagues, guests, thank you for the opportunity to deliver my farewell address after having served in this august body for 8 years. As many of you know, I resisted becoming a senator for a number of years. Nevertheless, I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity the citizens of the 13th Senate District have given me to serve them and all of Michigan. I was recently asked 3 questions. The first is this the best job you've ever had? The second is, how would you like to be remembered? And the third is, what's next for you? I'll answer the first question now, and the other 2 at the end of my speech. With regard to the first question, I thought back over the many things I got to do in my life, and I recalled that between my junior and senior years in high school, I was a lifeguard in a girls' camp in Wisconsin. It's been downhill ever since. Kidding aside, I've had a really interesting life. As a cadet at West Point, I internalized the Academy's motto of duty, honor, country. A cadet will not lie, cheat, or steal, or condone it in others, nor will a cadet quibble, which is defined as using a small truth to tell a bigger lie. However imperfectly, I've tried to live my life based on the ideal of duty, honor, country. During my 30 years on active duty in the infantry, I became a paratrooper, a ranger, and a pathfinder. I served at every staff level from battalion to the Department of Defense and NATO. I commanded units from platoon up through battalion, the latter in combat in Vietnam during my second tour. I was an instructor in the Ranger Department. Years later, I taught management and leadership at the Army War College. I ended my career on loan to the State Department on the Secretary of State's Policy Planning Council. This followed my having succeeded in a secret shuttle diplomacy known only to the President, the Secretaries of State, Defense, and my boss, NATO's Supreme Allied Commander in Europe. I negotiated with the Greeks and the Turks to return Greek military forces to NATO's integrated military structure without a Turkish veto. The Greeks had withdrawn their military forces from NATO following the Turkish invasion of Cyprus and faced them toward Turkey. The Turks stayed in NATO but faced their forces toward Greece. Consequently, 50% of NATO's total ground forces were facing each other instead of the Soviets. Upon finishing at the State Department and retiring, I returned to Michigan, where I'd grown up on the east side of Detroit, and became the Director of Business and Strategic Planning for General Dynamics Land Systems, a $4 billion company. They paid me well, but they could only make my inbox deeper, not broader. So after 7 years, at age 60, I retired again and began my 4th year in politics, which included serving as the first vice chair of the Michigan Republican Party, as well as in local, county, and state offices, ending with my 8 years here in the Senate. I'm told by Senate Fiscal that at age 83, I'll be the oldest person ever to have served in the Senate. We come to every challenge in life with the attitudes and insights we've experienced in the past that in turn tend to predict how we'll act in the future. It's why I realized, it's the reason that I outlined some of my past history. After all, it's been said, if you live long enough, the sum total of all you've experienced and the mistakes you've made leads to the beginning of wisdom. With apologies to my caucus, this is why I had so much to say in the caucus room, and why I never violated the confidentiality of what I or anyone else had to say in those meetings. I chose to influence events in the caucus room rather than in revelations outside that room. This is not to say that I did not let my constituents know later how I voted and why. I take satisfaction in my influence over the budget process and the fact that over 14 years in the House and Senate, I brought in every budget I chaired under the ceiling that had been established for it. I also take pride in a large number of policy bills that were signed into law on a variety of issues, large and small. Finally, I never took what some might call a tough vote, because doing what I thought was right to do in the first place was never a tough vote for me. This leads me to the second question I spoke of at the beginning of the remarks. I'd like to be remembered not for any given piece of legislation, but rather how I conducted myself day in and day out with everyone. One of my personal satisfactions was being able to work with and mentor some really outstanding people. Hopefully, you'll remember me as a decent, honest man who did what he thought was right. Now, I will leave you with some words of wisdom. 1, bad news never gets better with age. Deal with it. Think big. Set the long-term goal and work with the smaller pieces to get there. Be bold, as we say in the infantry. When you're told to take a hill, take it the first time. And as Governor Engler used to say, good policy is good politics. And finally, one of my favorites, don't vote yellow unless you are. In closing, whatever I accomplish here, the lion's share of credit goes to the superb efforts of those who served on my staff over the years. Justin Winslow, Kristen Brown, Jackie Mosier, Jessica Peterson, Anthony Fernandez, Jessica Vandenbos, Amanda Comments, Kenny Long, who's been with me for 9 years, Carolyn Lethan, Aubrey Krause, Brittany Lewandowski, Jeff Cassidy, Corinne Kadarian, Rebecca Kurda, and Justin Dickman. Why so many, you ask? Because they were so good they kept getting hired away to better jobs. At which time my job was to throw them a going away party, and I'm proud of all of them. For those who ask what my 5th career will be, I plan to write a book or two about some stuff I did that has since been declassified, but I won't be doing anything before 9 o'clock. Lastly, I want to thank my wife, Christina, who is here with me today. Wave, babe. She has great common sense and political insight. She's been the wind beneath my wings in everything, in good times and bad. I love you, babe. Thanks, all.
Senator Pappageorge moves that his remarks be printed in the Journal. Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. All those in favor of the adoption of Senate Resolution 194, please say aye. Those opposed say nay. The resolution is adopted. Senator Meekhoff.
I move that all members of the Senate and the Lieutenant Governor be listed as co-sponsors of Senate Resolution 194.
Without objection, it is so ordered.